My name is Róger Calero, and I'm the Socialist Workers Party candidate for U.S. President. I think that as the economic crisis deepens in the United States and worldwide, and the attacks against the working and living conditions of workers, small farmers, independent truckers, others who are feeling disproportionately the impact of the rising, the increase in prices of food, fuel, the cost of living, at the same time that they're attacking our wages and our working and living conditions. Many people are being repelled by the conditions of what capitalism has in store for us. The increasing wars. We're already beginning to see how, regardless of who wins the elections in November, the war, like in Pakistan, is being extended more and more into Pakistan. In Afghanistan, it's being extended more and more into Pakistan. And both presidential candidates, like Senator Barack Obama and John McCain, have expressed their support to the current course of the Bush administration and of General David Petraeus, the attacks against immigrant workers in this country. Like immigrant workers here in this country have been at the front of many of the struggles to organize unions and for better working and living conditions. We defend the rights of immigrant workers because they are part of the working class in the United States. And they're not only part of the working class, but they have been leading struggles to organize unions and to defend working and living conditions. It is those conditions, the combination of those things, of the crisis and the increasing struggle, that gives us an opening to present a working class program, a working class alternative of the need to make a socialist revolution here in the United States. Well, you have to remember that there are two Americas. There's the America, of those who own for a living, the 60 or so capitalist families that own all the major resources in this country, and then there is us, working people. There are two different realities. Capitalist politicians try to present the idea that there is one big American happy family, but that's not true. The working people are feeling disproportionately the impact of the capitalist economic crisis, and we are presenting a platform that seeks to unify and protect working people from the consequences of the economic crisis. And there are millions of people who are trying to think about how to move forward the demands of working people. You saw it, for example, in 2006, when you had about 2 million workers participating in demonstrations and protests to demand legalization for undocumented immigrants. Since 2006, we have seen other examples of working people who have gone out on the streets to demand rights and better working and living conditions. And that poses the question of the need of the working class to take political power and begin to reorganize society entirely in the benefits of the majority and not the few rich billionaire families who own this country. The attacks against our rights, our working and living conditions, go hand in hand with the attacks on political rights. Today we're participating at this demonstration in defense of 5 Cuban revolutionists who are being held in U.S. prisons for defending Cuba. They were jailed on fabricated evidence. They were framed up, but their case is an example of the kind of attacks on political rights that this government has carried out before and will carry out again as working people begin to fight back. They will use their courts. They will use their police agencies, the FBI, and so forth, to carry out disruptive operations against workers' organizations for black rights, and others. These attacks are aimed at the entire working class. So our campaign, looks for ways on how to respond not only to the attacks on our economic conditions, but social questions and political questions as well. The fight for Social Security, unemployment benefits. All of those things are part of the struggles. The health care that we're part of here. Oh, well, our party, the founders of a party, sided with those that opposed the Stalinist bureaucracy as they were coming to power, as in the Soviet Union, as they were taking control of the state, and the party in the Soviet Union, overthrowing the gains of the socialist revolution. in which Trotsky and many other leaders of the Russian Revolution were part of. Our party traces its continuity back to those that oppose the Stalin and its bureaucracy coming into power.
And this is the first time somebody from your party runs for president?
No, the Socialist Workers Party, in fact, has run presidential candidates since 1948.
Wow.
Now our candidates have distinguished ourselves to present this kind of a platform against capitalism and against capitalist war abroad and at home. Even in the midst of the Second World War, during the Vietnam War, our candidates not only spoke against the war, but spoke of solidarity, in solidarity against the anti-colonial, in solidarity with the anti-colonial struggles going on at the time. Vietnam, our candidates, for example, traveled to Vietnam to extend solidarity to the Vietnamese people when they were waging war against the U.S. imperialist troops. So in that tradition, the candidate, myself and Allison Kennedy, the candidates of the Socialist Workers Party in 2008, are now campaigning in this election, presenting a working class alternative, and in opposition to imperialism's war abroad in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and everywhere else where there are troops present, U.S. troops present, abroad. If a Democrat or a Republican wins the election, working people lose. Regardless of whether Barack Obama or John McCain wins the election, working people lose. We're already winning, because every time that a worker takes a stand for the working class, every time that a class-conscious young fighter takes a stand for the working class and begins to see themselves fighting independently of the party of the bosses, of the Democrats and the Republicans, the party that represents the ruling rich in this country. Every time we act independently through our unions, our class wins. We begin to win a little more confidence, more experience in ourselves and on the need to forge our own parties and our own organizations, and begin to forge a struggle on our own behalf. We're already winning. We're already winning. If a Democrat or a Republican wins the election, working class lose, because they represent the interest of the ruling rich.
Are there statistics on how many of supporters you have in the United States?
No, we'll see what the results are in the election. You have to remember also that many people that support our campaign are not even allowed to vote in this country. Immigrant workers. Yeah, they're not allowed to vote, and we're the only candidates, for example, that support the legalization of undocumented immigrants. So if immigrant workers will be allowed to vote, we would get that support will be reflected even more. Workers who have taken away their right to vote, millions. There are millions. But we're going to be on the ballot in 10 states, and in the states where we're not on the ballot, we're asking working people and youth to write in the name of the candidates of the Socialist Workers Party, to register their support for a working class alternative.
What about the media? Why do you think the media is ignoring the Workers' Socialist Party?
The election process is a big show, and it's designed to pretend, or it is designed to present the idea that there are only two options. That working people have something to choose from.
Why don't you make benefit of the new media like the internet? Like, for example, Barack Obama has been able to utilize the internet for his favor. Why aren't you using like blogs and forums and
we are using
we
are trying to use every mean we have access to, and we thank you very much for the opportunity to give this interview and present this to people abroad, because our campaign is not intended just for working people in the United States. It's an international campaign, because the working class is international. And we're using every single opportunity we can to present our platform. But we don't have the millions and millions of dollars that the Democrats and the Republicans have, and we don't want them, because we want to be able to maintain an independent campaign and present a working class platform without having to have the big corporations telling us what to do or what to say. But we are using every opportunity we have to present our platform as wide as possible.